or it might be 1914. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it in my brain, but it's sort of gotten.
Okay, we're now recording in live stream. Hi, I'm Paul Sugarman from the Instant Shakespeare Company, and today we have the Shaw Project reading of Is It Legal? 3 one-act plays. And so over to you, David Cedar.
I'm David Cedar, and the artistic director of the Shaw Project. Today we're doing 3 plays loosely around the theme of is it legal or is it not, or at least situations that involve legality of some sort. Starting with Shaw and then moving on to an Irish play by Lady Gregory, and finally a farcical one-act by Harley Granville Barker, who was for many years Shaw's partner in various theatrical endeavors. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to get going on it, but let's all introduce ourselves. We don't have to say what characters we're playing because we're all playing different characters in each play. I'm David Cedar, and all the rest of you, please speak up.
Well, I'm Paula Hosa.
Angus Hepburn from London.
I'm Kelly Rosemary.
I think you need, is your sound up full? I think you need to push
My
it up.
sound, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you, but it's a little faint. Maybe
Oh,
just check to see if your sound's up full.
right.
Virginia?
Virginia Thomas, hi.
Drew?
I'm Drew Bolander. Hi.
And Clinton.
Hi, I'm Clinton Powell.
Okay, we're going to start with the Shaw play, The Fascinating Foundling. It is morning. The office of the Lord Chancellor, located within the Houses of Parliament. The door on the right is leading to his private room near the fireplace. The door on the left leading to the public staircase. Mercer, an elderly clerk, seated at work. Enter to him through the public door Horace Brabazon, a smart and beautiful young man dressed in the extremity of fashion with a walking stick.
I want to see the Lord Chancellor.
Have you an appointment?
No.
Okay, you can't see the Lord Chancellor.
I tell you, I must see him.
I tell you, you can't. Look here, do you think the Lord Chancellor's a palmist or a hair doctor that people can rush in and out of the street and see him whenever they want to?
That speech was meant to insult and humiliate me. I make it a rule to fight people who attempt to insult and humiliate me. Put up your hands.
Here, you, leave me alone. You leave this office, do you hear, or I'll have the police in on you.
Oh, you are face to face with your destiny, and your destiny is to fight me. Be quick! I'm going to begin. Don't look pale. I scorn to take you by surprise. I shall lead off with my left hand to your right eye. Put them up.
But I ain't going to fight you. Let me alone, will you? I said nothing to you.
Liar and slave! Fight, I tell you, fight!
Oh, was there ever the like of this? Don't make such a noise.
Oh, I'm making it on purpose. I want you to fight because it'll make more noise than anything else. The Lord Chancellor will come and see what the noise is all about if it's loud enough. Time!
Butcher, you come near me and I'll split your head open with this poker, I will.
Who lay on Macduff, and damned be he that first cries, hold, enough!
What's this? Who is this gentleman?
Ah, the Lord Chancellor. Good. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence. My lord, I have called on professional business in the matter of Brabazon, an infant.
If you are a solicitor, sir, you must be aware that this is not the proper way to approach the court.
I approach you as the father of all orphans in Chancery.
Sir,
Don't fly out, I'll explain everything. You remember the matter of Brabazon, an infant? Come now, frankly, as man to man, you do remember the matter of Brabazon, an infant.
There is such a case, I believe.
Of course there is. Well, I'm the infant. I'm Brabazon. I call thee Hamlet, king, Father, Royal Dane, wilt thou not answer me? You see now, don't you?
You are young Horace Brabazon, are you?
I am, my lord. Such is life.
You are a ward of the court, and you have systematically disobeyed every order made in your case.
The orders were unreasonable, fatuous, in fact.
Sir,
Let me explain. One of the orders was that I was to go into the church.
at your own desire.
Well, exactly, but I should not have been indulged. I was too young. How did I know what was good for me? I put it to you as one man to another. Do I look like an archbishop?
Stuff, sir.
As you say, nothing could have been more idiotic. You ought to have known better. No, the church is not in my line. Nature intended me for the stage. Oh, the unreal mockery here was practicing Macduff with me when you came in. Now, what I want to know is, can you get me an engagement? As your ward, I have the right to expect that of you. You must know lots of people who could give me a start. And there's another thing, a very important. By the way, won't you sit down? Excuse me keeping you standing here all this time. Macduff, a chair?
You are too good.
Don't mention it. Well, you know, I want some good home influence to steady me. You see, you can't steady me. You're too much occupied here in your shop. Besides, you may shake a loose leg yourself occasionally, for all the public knows, eh? Look, even if you are virtuous, I should probably lead you astray. No, what I want is a wife. Not a young woman, you know, someone old enough to be my mother, say 30 or so. Oh, I adore a mature woman. Not old enough to be your mother, you understand, old enough to be my mother. I attach some importance to that distinction. So be good enough to bear it in mind. One mustn't overdo these notions.
Mr. Mercy, will you be good enough to make a careful note of this gentleman's requirements, an engagement at a leading theatre to play Macbeth, and a wife of quiet habits and grave disposition? Anything else, Mr. Brabazon?
Nothing today, thank you. And now I know better than to take up the time of a busy man. Happy to have made your acquaintance. Ta-ta. Ta-ta, Macduff.
What do you mean by letting this lunatic in, Mr. Mercer? I'm extremely annoyed.
Well, I didn't let him in, my lord. He came in. I was keeping him from you at the risk of my life when you came in to ask what the noise was.
My faithful Mercer.
Oh, my honoured master.
We were happy together until this man came between us.
Let us try to forget him, my lord. Oh, my lord, he's left his walking stick behind. He'll return for it. Let us fly.
Nonsense, Mercer. We have no aeroplane, and if we had, we shouldn't know how to use it. Hark, a visitor at the door. Tell him we have both gone out.
Useless, my lord. He's a man of strong reasoning powers. He would conclude on hearing our voices that we were both within.
Is anybody there? Let me in.
That is the voice of a young and probably beautiful woman.
It is, my lord.
Then why the dickens don't you open the door instead of striking melodramatic attitudes? How dare you keep the lady waiting? I'm very much annoyed.
Oh, I'm sorry, my lord.
Is this the Lord Chancellor's?
Yes.
Sir Cardonius Boshington's?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the Lord Chancellor?
Oh, no, ma'am. Well, leastways, not yet.
What are you?
Well, I'm the Lord Chancellor's...
Secretary?
Well, hardly that, ma'am. If you ask me, I should say I was sort of what you might call a clerk valet to his lordship.
Are you a gentleman?
Oh, well, that's a poser, miss, really. I'm in a manner of speaking a gentleman.
In what manner of speaking are you a gentleman?
Well, miss, I'm a gentleman to my tobacconist. Well, every man is a gentleman to his tobacconist. The parliamentary candidate for Hornsey always addresses me as a gentleman, but then he ain't particular. Leastways, not at election times. You see, miss, there are 3 classes of gentry in this country.
Only 3?
Only 3, ma'am.
How do you tell one from the other?
Well, you tell by the railway porters, miss. The real upper class gives them a shilling, the upper middle class sixpence, and the lower middle class twopence. I give twopence myself.
And which particular class of gentlemen is it, pray, that gives a lady a chair?
Oh, I'm sure I beg your pardon, miss.
Thanks. And now will you be good enough to tell Sir Cardonius Washington that Miss Anastasia Villami wishes to see him?
Miss Anastasia Villami, my lord, to see you.
Do you mean to tell me that this old man in livery is the great Chancellor?
At your service, Miss Williamy.
Quite impossible. I have here an article on Sir Cardonius, headed our great Chancellor, and the description does not correspond in the least. No man of our time has succeeded in tempering the awe inspired by a commanding stature and majestic presence with the love and confidence which even the youngest and most timid ward of the court feels at the sound of his kindly voice and the encouraging beam, twinkling with humor, of his tender grey eyes. Do you mean to tell me that this is you?
It is not for me to say how far the description is an accurate or a happy one, madam, but I believe I am the person intended by the writer.
Perhaps you'd recognise this better, miss. Sir Cardonius and me is on opposite sides in politics.
How much longer will the nation allow this despicable pantaloon to occupy the woolsack? What's the woolsack?
What the Lord Chancellor sits on in the House of Lords, miss.
Whose contents only too strongly resemble those of his own head. That's a nasty one, you know, isn't it? It means that your brains are woolly, doesn't it?
Its meaning is entirely beneath my notice. I'm surprised, Mercer, to find you in possession of a scurrilous rag of this character. We may differ in our opinions, but if any paper taken in by me were to speak of you in such unbecoming terms, I should never open it again.
Oh, well, my lord, politics is politics. And after all, what is politics if it isn't showing up the other side? When I pay a penny for a paper, I've a right to get value for my money, the same as any other man.
But I don't understand. Are you the despicable pantaloon? The other paper says your name will be cherished by the warm hearts of the English people when Eldon and Sir Thomas More are forgotten. I thought that whatever is in the papers must be true. How do you explain being a great chancellor and a despicable pantaloon at the same time?
I take it that the excellent journal from which you first quoted has put all considerations of party aside and simply endeavored to place before you a dispassionate estimate of such modest services as I have been able to render to my country. The other paper gives you nothing but the vituperative ravings of an illiterate penny-a-liner, blinded by party pack.
Oh, you should never read more than one paper, miss. It unsettles the mind, let alone the waste of a penny.
Well, it's a great relief to me to hear that, great Chancellor, that the paper is the right one. You think I may believe everything it says?
I trust I shall not disappoint any favourable opinion you may have founded on it.
It says here that though you are stern with the worthless and merciless to the impostor, yet your mature wisdom and unparalleled legal knowledge are freely at the service of all deserving persons, and that no distressed suitor has ever been turned empty away from your door.
That refers to my private house, madam. I don't keep food here.
Well, I have a sandwich for my lunch, miss. Sooner than send you empty away, I would give it to you, miss, most joyfully.
I ask not charity, but justice.
Madam, I must request you to speak like a lady and not like a procession of the unemployed. The House of Lords always gives charity and never gives justice.
Yeah, well, the House of Lords will find itself unemployed one of these days, if you ask me.
Silence, Mercer.
No.
Have the goodness to keep your radicalism to yourself in the presence of this lady.
Why do you allow your clerk to be a radical?
Well, madam, to make him a conservative and an imperialist, I should have to raise his salary very considerably, and I prefer to save money and put up with the radical.
You'll excuse me asking you all these questions, but as I've decided after what the paper says that you are the man to advise me and be a father to me, it is very important that you should be quite all right, isn't it?
It is not my business to be a father to every young lady who walks into my office.
Not your business? Why, Whitaker's Almanac says you get £10,000 a year, and you don't get that for nothing, I suppose. By the way, Whitaker, it doesn't say how much you get.
Oh, I get 150.
150 into 10,000 goes about 66 times. Why does he get 66 times as much as you? Is he 66 times as good?
Well, he thinks so.
Set up no such ridiculous pretension, Mercer.
Perhaps you're 66 times as sober. How much do you drink every day?
Oh, I'm almost a teetotaler. A single bottle of Burgundy is quite sufficient for me.
Then I suppose you drink 66 bottles of Burgundy a day.
66 bottles of Burgundy a day and 150 a year? Not me. Hardly runs to beer on Sundays.
Well, there must be something awfully wrong about you, you know, if you only get the 66th of what he gets.
No, madam. Mercer is an excellent man in his proper place.
Then there must be something awfully right about you.
I hope so.
I don't see the difference myself.
He's better fed.
Is he? I should have thought he was too red about the nose to be quite healthy. It's the Burgundy, I expect. However, I didn't come here to talk about you two. Call it selfish if you will, but I came to talk about myself. The fact is, I'm an orphan. At least I think I am.
Don't you know?
No, I was brought up in what you might politely call a sort of public institution. They found me on the doorstep, you know. Might have happened to anybody, mightn't it?
And you have the audacity to come here and talk up to us as if you was a lady? Oh, be off with you, and be ashamed of yourself, you hussy.
Gently, Mercer, gently. It's not the poor girl's fault.
Not her fault. Why, she ain't anybody's daughter. She's only an offspring.
Perhaps I'm his daughter, my lord.
Oh, you wicked girl. Oh, you naughty story, you. Oh, that I should have lived to have this accusation brought against me, a respectable man.
I had a feeling the moment I saw you.
The voice of nature. Oh, Mercer, Mercer.
I'll have the law on you for this, I will. Oh, say you don't believe her, my lord. Don't drive me mad. I mean, say you don't believe her.
I can't disregard the voice of nature, Mercer. The evidence against you is very black.
Me? The father of a common girl found on a workhouse doorstep?
How dare you presume to say such a thing? A workhouse doorstep indeed. I was found on the doorstep of one of the very best houses in Park Lane.
Oh, my dear young lady, how can I apologize?
Oh, I'm sure I beg your pardon, most humbly, miss.
Forget the rudeness of my clerk. He knows no better. Resume your seat, I beg.
Well, if I had only known, miss. Park Lane. Oh, I could bite my tongue out for my bad manners, I do assure you.
Say no more. Of course, you could not know my social position.
Oh, don't say that, miss. You've got Park Lane in every feature.
In your manners.
In your accent.
In your tone.
Address.
Je ne sais quoi.
A tout ensemble.
You speak French.
Oh, not a word, miss. But at the sight of that hat of yours, the French fairly burst out of me.
You are very good. Don't begin again. I forgive you both. Now attention. I am a good-hearted but somewhat flighty girl, and I require some serious interest in life to steady me. As I had an ungovernable appetite, I was naturally rather inclined to be stout. I tried politics, but for you, a man, politics meant the House of Lords. For me, a woman, politics meant Holloway Gaol and the hunger strike. I refused to take food until I was so frightfully hungry that when the governor, who was a plump, chubby, tempting sort of man, you know, came into my cell and remonstrated me, I attempted to devour him.
Pardon me. I thought you suffragist lambs prided yourself in acting always on principle. On what principle, may I ask, do you justify an attempt to devour an estimable public official?
On the cat and mouse principle, my lord. That is a part of the law of England.
Never. Not when the woman is a cat.
May I ask, madam, what the unfortunate mouse did on this occasion?
He got quite angry and said he would have me in his prison another minute, not if I went down on my knees and begged him to let me stay. Of course, I refused to go, but I had to let the poor man have his way at last. Though it took 10 wardresses to persuade me to do it, I left them simply in ribbons, poor things. Prison made a great change in me. Before I went, I felt a great want of something to love, and when I came out, I felt nothing but a great want of something to eat. There were 2 public houses near the prison. One had a placard up, sausage and mashed, the other sandwiched and a small Lord George. I visited them both in succession and had 2 goes of each delicacy, and then I drove to Holborn Restaurant and had a 5-shilling lunch, stopped at 3 Pearson Plenty's on the way to sustain exhausted nature. At the Holborn, they refused to serve me a second lunch, so I went to the Carlton. Of my subsequent experiences at the Savoy, Pagani's, Frascati's, Gatti's, 5 baked potato men, and a coffee stall, I shall say nothing. Suffice it that when at least the craving for food was stilled, the craving for love was returned in all its original force. I felt I must have something to cherish, something to sacrifice my life for. You no doubt hold that self-sacrifice is a woman's chief amusement.
Certainly I do.
Any man would. Well, was I to love? My friends recommended marriage, a man in fact, but I hesitant to rush at once, so expensive and troublesome and extreme. I tried a pet dog, but when it had been stolen for the 6th time by a man I bought it from, I refused to pay any more reward, and he parted forever. I tried a cat, but its conduct was so disreputable that I really could not live in the same house with it. I adopted the orphan child of a crossing sweeper who was run over, but when its aunt learned that I had no parent, she would not permit it to stay. Glad as I must confess, I was to get rid of the little beast. My starved heart still ached. My empty arms still longed to gather some beloved object to my breast.
If I can be of any service to you, madam.
You? You are married, are you not?
Well, yes, I am married.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, miss, but so am I. Well, still, a divorce would be a matter of only £80 or so if we made it a fairly straight case.
Never shall it be said that Anastasia Vulami built her happiness on the ruin of another woman's home. There are younger and handsomer men than you, my lord. There are more genteel characters than Mercer. Neither of you, if I may be allowed the expression, is precisely what I should call a peach. And I want a peach. He must be a young peach. Not that I am to be seduced by the fleeting charms of a smooth cheek and a slim figure, but it's a necessity of my position as a woman that I should marry someone whom I can bully, because if a woman can't bully her husband generally bullies her. You, my lord, you can find me a young foolish man, into my arms, under my thumb, let him come to me, let him come. I fear I'm almost dropping into poetry, but the tumult of my emotions carries me away. I implore you not to keep me waiting. My soul is thrilling as it has never thrilled before. My arms are longing as they have never longed before. My heart is beating as it never beat before. Every nerve in my body, every fiber of my heart.
Excuse me. I left my stick, I think.
Oh, he has come! He has come! The very thing I want!
Quite out of the question, my dear lady. Sir Cardonius will tell you that you are too young, too irresistible, too impulsive to be anything more to me than an extremely agreeable object of contemplation and a charming hostess. With that object, may I venture to propose a marriage to you?
Silly. That is exactly what I am proposing to you.
Not marriage to the same person, I think. You, as I understand, propose to marry me. I propose that you should marry one of my friends. You can invite me to your house and put on your best company manners for my benefit, and he will have the privilege of paying for your hats and enjoying your no company manners.
My lord, This man has a giant intellect.
It will avail him as little as if he were the biggest fool in creation. Young man, you are lost. I argued as you do. I tried to get out of it.
I moved all the way from Gospel Oak to Islington to escape, but it was no use.
Beware how you anger her by showing any reluctance. Remember, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Oh, what's the good of that nowadays? When that was written, a woman would take no for an answer. She won't now.
You begin by walking out with me at once. You are only one approval, of course, but if you suit, you may consider next Friday, 3 weeks named as the day.
But does the merit come in for me? Where is the moral discipline? Where is the self-sacrifice? You are an agreeable person. To marry you would be an act of pure selfishness.
So you think now, dearest. You won't think that a year hence. I'll take care of that for my own boy.
Yes, but look here, have you got any money?
Not a rap.
And you expect me to be a slave for nothing? What cheek!
I am richer than you think, darling. It's true that I'm a poor, penniless orphan. Doesn't that touch you?
Not in the least.
Thoughtless boy. Have you forgotten that women who have money always belong to some family or other?
Well?
Well, a family means relations. You can't call your house your own. The brothers borrow money, the sisters come and stay for months, the mother quarrels with your mother.
Gospel truth, every word of it.
Undeniable.
I, my love, am not perfect. I'm a weak woman. I've nothing to cling to but your love, nor any place to rest except your very becoming fancy waistcoat. But at least I'm a foundling.
A foundling?
I haven't a relation in the world.
Oh, mine.
And curtain. I think
He was a cynical old sod.
there's a bit of W.S. Gilbert influence in this thing.
Yeah.
Shades of Iolanthe for one thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's take 10. Well, let's reconvene at 20 minutes to 2.
Right you are.
Go on to Ireland. Anybody here?
I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
All at once we appear.
How's Hamish doing?
Oh, Hamish is doing spectacularly well.
Great news.
He's got us very well trained, and is living the life of leisure. If I could just get him to stop chewing on things, life would be perfect.
Oh, no.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, he's still only 8 months old, so
Ah,
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a tough little guy, and he loves to run and to play. He loves people, he loves dogs. And so it was our anniversary, and so we decided we were going to board him overnight so that we could go out to dinner and then the next day go out to brunch, which we did and had a lovely time. And then we picked him up, and it was hysterical. He played almost the whole time, except for when he was asleep, they said. And he came home and he just went boom and slept for hours.
Oh, that's great.
I'm assuming Hamish is a cat.
No, Hamish
Nope.
is a Cairn Terrier.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fairly large one, actually.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and
They're not so intellectually peculiar as cats.
no, not at all.
Because once when my wife and I went away on vacation and left a cat in the care of the neighbor to feed him. It's only 3 days. We came back and the damn thing wouldn't speak to us for a week and a half. She was so
dear.
pissed off at us. You know?
That is cat. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's cat. That's cat.
Well, no, Hamish loves his full name is Hamish Underfoot. It's descriptive.
Yes.
Yes. But he loves this place. Our upstairs neighbor runs a dog boarding, daycare kind of place. And you have to go upstairs to get to it. And when he knows that's where he's going, for the last block and a half, he runs. And when we open the door, I just drop the leash because there's no way that I can take the steps as fast as that dog does. And he gets up to the top and barks at the door like, okay, I'm here. He's a funny guy.
Well, at least you called him Hamish. I mean, I used to have trouble in the States because people who would have the Highland Terriers would insist on calling them Angus, and I'd be walking down the street and I heard somebody yell, "Angus, stop doing that!" And I'd go, "What?
That's funny.
Well, Hamish has turned out to be a pretty good choice because it's funny. It's also the people who know that it's a Scottish name, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then this is a very Jewish neighborhood. And Hamish is a Yiddish word, which fortunately means good. So they think I have a Jewish dog.
Okay.
And then the people who speak Spanish, they can't really say Hamish because in Spanish there are no words that end in SH or any kind of consonant really. So I explained to them, well, it's a Scottish name for Jaime. And so those people call him Jaime.
Yeah.
Aw, that's cute.
I think it's just about time to get going on the next
Indeed,
one.
yes. All right.
Are we all here? Clint, are you here?
Oh,
Virginia?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, good. All right. This play, Hyacinth Halvey, is by Lady Gregory, who wrote quite a few of these one-act Irish comedies. She was also one of the co-founders of the Abbey Theatre. So here we are. The scene is outside the post office in the little town of Clune. Mrs. Delane is at the post office door. Mr. Quirk is sitting on a chair in front of his butcher's shop. A dead sheep is hanging beside it, and a thrush in a cage above. Fardy Farrell is playing on a mouth organ. A train whistle is heard.
There's the 4 o'clock train, Mr. Quirk.
Is it now, Mrs. Delane? And I not long after rising. Makes a man drowsy to be doing half of his work in the night time, going about the country looking for little stags of sheep, striving to knock out a few shillings together. Well, that contract for the soldiers gives me a great deal to attend to.
I suppose so. It's hard enough on myself going down to be ready for the mail cart in the morning, sorting letters in the half dark. It's often I haven't had time to look who the letters are from or the cards.
It would be a pity you not to know any little news might be knocking about. If you did not have information of what is going on, who should have it? Was it you, ma'am, was telling me that the new sub-sanitary inspector would be arriving today?
Today he's coming, and it's likely he was on that train. There was a card about him to Sergeant Carton this morning.
Young chap from Carrow, they were saying he was.
So he is one Hyacinth Halvey. And indeed, if all that is said about him is true, or a quarter of it is true, he will be a credit to this town.
Is that so?
Testimonials he has by the score. To Father Gregan they were sent. Registered they were, coming and going. Would you believe me telling you that they weighed up to 3 pounds?
Oh, there must be a great bulk in them indeed.
It is no wonder he is to get the job. He must have had a great character, so many persons to write for him as to what he did, where...
It would be a great thing to have a character like this.
Indeed. I'm taking it will be long before you will get that like of it, Fardy Farrell.
If I had the like of that of a character, it is not here carrying messages I would be. It's in Noonan Hotel I would be, driving cars.
Oh, here's the priest's housekeeper coming.
Oh, so she is. And there's Sergeant a little while after her. Good evening to you, Miss Joyce. What way is his reverence doing today? Did he get any ease from the cough?
You're
Miss Joyce?
muted.
He did not indeed, Mrs. Delane. He has it sticking to him yet. Smothering he is in the night time. The most thing he comes short in is the voice.
I'm so sorry now to hear that. He should mind himself well.
What is it to say? Let him mind himself. What do you say to him going to the meeting tonight? It's for his reverence's freeman I am come, Mrs. Delane.
Oh, it's here at the ready. I was just throwing an eye on it to see if there is any news. Oh, good evening, Sergeant.
I brought this notice, Mrs. Delane, the announcement of the meeting to be held tonight in the courthouse. You might put it up here, convenient to the window. I hope you're coming to it yourself.
Oh, I will come and welcome. I would do more than that for you, Sergeant.
And you, Mr. Quirk.
Oh, I'll come to be sure. I forget what this meeting's about.
The Department of Agriculture is sending around a lecturer in furtherance of the moral development of the rural classes. A lecture will be given this evening in Clune Courthouse, illustrated by magic lantern slides. Those will not be in it, I'm informed. They were all broken in the first journey, the railway company taking them to be eggs. The subject of the lecture is the building of character.
Oh, very nice indeed. I knew a girl who lost her character and she washed her feet in a blessed well after, and it dried up on a minute.
The arrangements have all been left to me. The Archdeacon being away, he knows I have a good intellect for things of that sort. But the loss of those slides puts a man out. The thing people will not see is that it is not likely it is the thing that they will believe. I saw what they call tableaux, standing pictures, one time in Dundrum.
Miss Joyce was saying Father Gregan is supporting you.
I am accepting his assistance. No bigotry about me when there is a question of the welfare of any fellow creatures. Orange and green will stand together tonight. I myself have the station master on the one side and your parish priest in the chair.
If his reverence would mind me, he would not quit the house tonight. He is no more fit to go speak at a meeting than that sheep.
No, I am willing to take the responsibility. He will have no speaking to do at all, unless it might be to bid them to give the lecturer a hearing. The loss of those slides now is a great annoyance to me, and no time for anything. The lecturer will be coming by the next train.
Who is this coming up the street, Mrs. Delane?
I wouldn't doubt it to be the new sub-sanitary inspector. Was I telling you the way to the testimonials he got, Miss Joyce?
Oh, sure, I heard the curate reading them to his reverence. He must be a wonderful principals.
Indeed it is that I was saying to myself, he must be a very saintly young man.
Good evening to you. I was bid to come to the post office.
I suppose you are Hyacinth Talby. I had a letter about you from the resident magistrate.
I heard he was writing. It was my mother got a friend he deals with to ask him.
He gives you a very high character.
Oh, it's very kind of him indeed. He not knowing me at all. But indeed, all the neighbours were very friendly. Anything anyone could do to help me, they did.
I'll engage. It is the testimonials you have in your parcel. I know the wrapping paper, but they grew in bulk since I handled them.
Indeed, I was getting them to the last. There was no one refused me. It was what my mother was saying, a good character is no burden.
I would believe that indeed.
Let's have a look at the testimonials. He possesses the fire of the Gael, the strength of the Norman, the vigor of the Dane, the stolidity of the Saxon.
It was the chairman of the Poor Law Guardians wrote that.
A magnificent example to old and young.
Well, that was the secretary of the DeWitt Hurling Club.
A shining example of the value conferred by an eminently careful and high-class education.
That was a national schoolmaster.
Devoted to the highest ideals of his motherland, to such an extent as is compatible with a hitherto non-parliamentary career.
Well, that was a member for Carrow.
A splendid exponent of the purity of the race. Well,
the editor of the Carrow Champion.
Admirably adapted for the efficient discharge of all possible duties that may in future be laid upon him.
The new station master.
A champion at every cause that can legitimately benefit his fellow creatures. Well, look here, my man. You are the very one to come to our assistance tonight.
I would be glad to do that. In what way can I do it?
You are a newcomer. Your example would carry weight. You must stand up as a living proof of the beneficial effect of a high character, moral fiber, temperance. There is something about it here, I am sure, and I'm sure I saw unparalleled temperance in some place.
No, that was my mother's cousin wrote that. I'm no drinker, but I haven't taken a pledge,
You might take it for the purpose. Angus.
Oh, hang on. That's one I missed. Just a second. Here is an anti-treating button. I was made present of it by one of my customers. I'll give it to you and welcome.
That is it. You can wear the button on the platform or a bit of blue ribbon. Hundreds will follow your example. I knew the boys from the workhouse will.
Oh, I am no way wishful to be an example to.
I will read extracts from the testimonials. Here he is, I will say, an example of one in early life who by his own unaided efforts and his high character has obtained a profitable situation. I know what I'll do. I'll engage a few corner boys from Noonan's bar, just as they are, greasy and sodden, to stand in a group. There will be the contrast. The sight would deter others from a similar fate. That's the way to do a tableau. I knew I could turn out a success.
I wouldn't like to be a contrast to your boys are.
I will go down and gauge those lads. Experience each and sixpence each and worth it. Nothing like the example of the rural classes.
A very nice man indeed. A little high up on himself, maybe. I'm not one that blames the police. Sure, they have their own bread to earn like everyone else. And indeed, it is often they will let a thing pass.
Sometimes they will, and more times they will not, Miss Joyce. Where will you be finding a lodging, Mr. Harvey?
I was going to ask that myself, ma'am, but I don't know the town.
I know of a good lodging, but it's only a very good man would be taken into it.
Sure, there could be no objection there to Mr. Halvey. There is no appearance on him, but that what is good. And the sergeant, after taking him up the way he's doing.
Oh, you will be near to the sergeant in the lodging I speak of. The house is convenient to the barracks.
To the barracks?
Alongside of it and the barrack yard behind, and that's not all. It is opposite to the priest's house.
Opposite, is it?
A very respectable place indeed, and a very clean room you'll get. I know it well. The curate can see into it from his window.
Can he now?
Well, there was a good many, I am thinking, went into that lodging and left it after.
It is a lodging you will never be let into or let stop in, Fardy. If they did go, they were a good riddance.
John Hart, the plumber, left it.
If he did, it was because he dared not pass the police coming in, as he used, with a rabbit he was after snaring in his hand.
The schoolmaster himself left it.
He needn't have left it if he hadn't taken to card playing. What way could you say your prayers and shadows shuffling and dealing before you on the blind?
I think maybe I just look around a bit before I settle into a lodging.
Oh, not at all. You won't be wanting to pull down the blind.
It is not likely you'll be snaring rabbits.
Or bringing in a bottle and taking an odd glass the way James Kelly did.
Or writing threatening notices and the police taking a view from the rear.
Or going to roadside dances or running after good-for-nothing young girls.
Well, I give my word, I'm not so harmless as you think.
Would you be putting on a lie on these, Mr. Halvey? I know well the way you will be spending your evenings, writing letters to your relations.
Learning O'Growney's exercises.
Sticking postcards in an album for the convent bazaar.
Reading The Catholic Young Man.
Playing the melodies on a melodeon.
Looking at the pictures in the lives of the saints. I'll hurry on and engage the room for you.
No, wait a minute. Before you do that.
No trouble at all. I told you it was just the opposite.
I suppose I must go upstairs and ready myself for the meeting. If it wasn't for the contract I have for the soldiers' barracks and the sergeant's good word, I wouldn't go near it.
I should be making myself ready too. I must be in good time to see you being made an example of, Mr. Harvey. It is I myself was the first to say it. You will be a credit to the town.
I wish I'd never seen Clune.
What is it on you?
I wish I'd never left Carrow. I wish I'd been drowned the first day I thought of it, and I'd be better off.
What is it ails you?
I wouldn't for the best pound ever I'd be in this place today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
To have left Carrow, if it was a poor place, where I had my comrades, an odd spree and a game of cards, and a coursing match coming on, and promised a new greyhound from the city of Cork. I'll die in this place the way I am. I'll be too much closed in.
Sure, it mightn't be as bad as what you think.
Will you tell me, I ask you, what way I can undo it?
What is it you're wanting to undo?
Will you tell me what way I can get rid of my character?
To get rid of it, is it?
That's what I said. Aren't you after hearing the great character that there after pumping on me.
That is a good thing to have.
Well, it is not. He's the worst in the world. If I hadn't it, I wouldn't be like a prize mangold in a show with every person praising me.
If I had it, I wouldn't be like a head in a barrel and every person making hits at me.
If I hadn't it, I wouldn't be shoved into a room with all the clergy watching me and the police in the backyard.
If I had it, I wouldn't be but a messenger carrier now and a clapper scaring birds in the summertime.
If I hadn't it, I wouldn't be wearing this button and brought up for an example at the meeting.
Well, maybe you're not. So what those papers make you out to be?
How would I be what they make out me to be? Was there ever any person of that sort since the world was a world, unless it be St. Anthony of Padua looking down from the chapel wall? Oh, if it is like that I was, isn't it at Mount Melleray I would be, or with the friars at Esker? Why would I be living in the world at all, or doing the world's work?
Who would think now there would be so much lies in a small place like Carroll?
It was my mother's cousin did it. He said I was not reared for labouring. He gave me a new suit and bid me never come back again. Oh, I daren't go back and face him. The neighbours knew my mother had a long family. Bad luck to them every day that they gave me these letters. Oh, done with testimonials. They won't be here to bear witness against me.
The sergeant thought them to be great. Sure, he has the samples of them in his pocket. There's not one of them in the town, but we'll know before morning that you are the next thing to an earthly saint.
I'll stop their mouths. I'll show them I can be a terror for badness. I'll do some injury. I'll commit some crime. The first thing I'll do, I'll go in and get drunk. If I never did it before, I'll do it now. I'll get drunk, and then I'll make an assault. I'll tell you, I'd think as little of taking a life as I do of blowing out a candle.
Oh, if you get drunk, you are done for. Sure, that will be held up after as an excuse for any breaking of the law.
I will break the law. Drunk or sober, I'll break it. I'll do something that will have no excuse. What would you say is the worst crime that any man can do?
I don't know. I heard the sergeant saying one time it was to obstruct the police in the discharge of their duty.
Oh, that won't do. It's a patriot I would be then, worse than before, with my picture in the weeklies. Oh, it's a red crime I must commit that will make all respectable people quit minding me. Now, what can I do? Search your mind now.
It's what I heard the old people saying. There could be no worse crime than to steal a sheep.
Oh, I'll steal a sheep, or a cow, or a horse. If that will leave me the way I was before.
It may be to jail it will be leaving you.
I don't care. I'll confess. I'll tell you why. I'll tell why I did it. I'll give you my word. I would as soon be picking oakum or breaking stones as to be perched in the daylight up like some bird and all the town chirruping up at me or bidding me to chirrup.
Well, there is reason in that now.
Help me, will you?
Well, if it is to steal a sheep you want, you haven't far to go.
Where is it? I see no sheep.
Look around you.
I see no living thing but that thrush.
Did I say it was living? What is that hanging on Quark's rack?
It's a sheep, sure enough.
Well, what ails you that you can't bring it away?
It's a dead one.
What matter if it is?
If it was living, I could drive it before me. But...
You could. Is it to your own lodging you would drive it? Sure, everyone would take it to be a pet you brought from Carroll.
I suppose they might.
Miss Joyce sending in for news of it and it bleating behind the bed.
Stop.
Oh, Fardy, are you there, Fardy Farrell?
I am, ma'am.
Yeah, look and tell me, is that telegraph I hear ticking?
It is, ma'am.
Ah, then bothersome to it. I'm not dressed or undressed. Wouldn't you say now it's to annoy me. It's calling me down. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Hurry on now, hurry. She'll be coming on up to you. If you're going to do it, do it. And if you're not, let alone.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'll give you a hand with it.
You told me no place where I could hide it.
You needn't go far. There is the church beyond at the side of the square. Go around to the ditch behind the wall. There's nettles in it.
Oh, that'll do.
She's coming on. Run, run.
Oh, it's slipping.
Hoist it up. I'll give it a hoist.
What are you doing, Fardy Farrell? Is it idling you are?
Away in, I am, ma'am, for the message.
Never mind the message yet. Who said it was ready? Go ask for the loan of. No, but ask for any news of. Oh, here. Now bring that bag to Mr. Halvey's to the lodging Miss Joyce has taken.
I will, ma'am.
Nobody here? Mr. Quirk? Mr. Quirk, James Quirk.
What is it, Mrs. Delane?
Come down here till I tell you.
I cannot do that. I'm not fully shaved.
You'd come down if you knew the news I have.
Look, tell it to me now. I'm not so supple as I was.
Whisper now. Have you any enemy in the place?
It's likely I may have. A man in business, you know.
I was thinking you had one.
Why would you think that at this time more than at any other time?
If you could know what it is in this envelope, you would know that, James Quirk.
Oh, is that so? And what now is there in it?
Who do you think now it is addressed to?
Well, how would I know that? I'm not seeing it.
That is true. Well, it is a message from Dublin Castle to the Sergeant of Police.
Oh, to Sergeant Carden, is it?
It is, and it concerns yourself.
Myself, is it? What accusation can they be bringing against me? I'm a peaceable man.
Wait till you hear.
Well, maybe they think I was in that moonlighting case.
That's not it.
I was not in it. I was but in the neighbouring field, cutting up a dead cow. Those never had a hand, and
you're out of it.
They had their faces blackened. There's no man can say I recognise them.
That's not what they're saying.
I'd swear I did not hear their voices or know them if I did hear them.
I tell you, it has nothing to do with that. It might be better if it had.
Oh, what is it now? What is it so?
It is an order to the sergeant bidding him immediately to seize all suspicious mate in your house. There's an officer coming down. There are complaints from the Shannon Fort barracks.
I'll engage that it was pork.
What ailed it for them to find fault?
People are so hard to please nowadays. And I recommended them to salt it.
They had a right to have minded your advice.
There was nothing on that pig at all, but that it went mad on poor O'Grady that owned it.
Oh, so I heard. And it went killing all before it.
Sure, it's only in the brain madness can be. I heard the doctor saying that.
Oh, you should know.
I gave you my word, I cut the head off it. I went to the loss of it, throwing it to the eels in the river. If they had salted the meat as I advised them, what harm would it have done to any person on earth?
I hope no harm will come to poor Mrs. Quirk and the family.
Maybe it wasn't that, but some other thing.
Here's Fardy. I must send a message to the sergeant. Well, Mr. Quirk, I'm glad I had the time to give you a warning.
I'm obliged to you indeed. You were always very neighbourly, Mrs. Delane. Don't be too quick now sending the message. There is just one article I'd like to put away out of the house before the sergeant will come.
Here now, Fardy. That's not the way you're going to the barracks. Anyway, would you, Anyone would think you were scaring birds yet. Put on your uniform. You have this message to bring to the sergeant of police. Get your cap now. It's under the counter.
Well, bring it to the station. It's there he was going.
You will not, but to the barracks. It can wait for him there.
Oh, it was indeed a very neighbourly act, Mrs. Delane, and I'm obliged to you. There is just one article to put out of the way, and the sergeant may look about him then and welcome. It's well I cleared the premises on yesterday. A consignment to Birmingham I sent. Oh, the Lord be praised. Isn't England a terrible country with all its consumes?
Indeed, you are always treat your neighbours very decent, Mr. Quirk, not asking them to buy from you.
Just one article. That sheep I brought in last night. It was for a charity indeed. I bought it from the widow woman at Kiltartan Cross. Where would the poor make a profit out of their dead meat without me? Where is it now? Well, no, I could have sworn that sheep was hanging there on the rack when I went in.
You must have put it in some other place.
I did not. There is no other place for me to put it in. Is it gone blind I am? Or is it not in it? It is.
It's not there now, anyway.
Well, didn't you take notice of it there yourself this morning?
I have it in my mind that I did, but it's not there now.
Oh, there was no one here could bring it away.
It is me myself you suspect of taking it, James Quirk.
Well, where is it at all? It certainly was not of itself it walked away. It was dead, and very dead the time I bought it.
I have a pleasant neighbour indeed that accuses me that I took a sheep. I wonder indeed that you say a thing like that. I to steal your sheep or your rack or anything that belongs to you or your trade. Thank you, James Quirk. I am much obliged to you indeed.
Oh, be quiet, woman, be
and
quiet.
Let me tell you, James Quirk, but I would sooner starve and see everyone belonging to me starve than to eat the size of a thimble of any joint that was ever on your rack or ever will be on it. Whatever the soldiers may eat that have no other thing to get, or by the English that devour all sorts of the poor ravenous people that's down by the sea.
Don't be talking foolishness, woman. I mean, who said you took me meat? Give heed to me now. There must be some other message have come. The servant must have got some other message.
If there is any other way for a message to come that is quicker than to come by the wires, tell me what it is and I'll be obliged to you.
The sergeant was up here making an excuse. He was sticking up that notice. What was he doing here, I ask you?
How would I know what brought him?
You know, it's what he did. He made as if to go away. He turned back again, and shaven, he brought away the sheep. He will have it for evidence against me.
Oh, that might be so.
Oh, I would sooner it to have been any other beast nearly ever I had on the rack.
Is that so?
I bade the widow early to kill it a fortnight ago, but she wouldn't. She was that covetous.
What was on it?
Well, how would I know what was on it? Whatever was on it, it was the will of God to put it upon it. Wasted it was, and shivering and refusing its share.
Oh, but the poor thing.
Gone all to nothing. Wore away like a flock of thread. Didn't weigh as much as a lamb of 2 months.
It is likely the inspector will bring it to Dublin.
Oh, the ribs of it streaky with the dint of patent medicines.
Oh, I wonder if it is to the petty sessions you'll be brought, or is it to the Azizas?
I'll go to the petty sessions. You'll be brought, or I'll speak up to them. I'll make my defence. What can the army expect at a fipence a pound?
It is likely there will be no bail allowed.
Would they be wanting me to give them good quality meat out of my own pocket? Is it to encourage them to fight the poor Indians and Africans that they would have me? Is it the anti-enlisting societies should pay the fine for me?
It's not a fine they will put on you, I'm afraid. It's 5 years in jail. You
Oh,
have to be getting well. I'll try and be a good neighbor to poor Mrs. Quirk.
oh, hadn't I heart scolding enough before, striving to rear 5 weak children?
I suppose they will be sent to the industrial schools.
Oh, my poor wife.
No, I'm afraid to the workhouse.
And she out in an ass car this minute helping me to follow me trade.
Oh, I hope they will not arrest her along with you.
I'll give myself up to justice. I'll plead guilty. I'll be recommended to mercy.
It might be best for you.
Who would think so great a misfortune should come upon a family through the bringing away of one sheep?
Let me make yourself easy.
Easy? It's easy to say, let you make yourself easy.
I can tell you where it is.
What is?
The sheep you're fretting after.
What do you know about it?
I know everything about it.
I suppose the sergeant told you.
He told me nothing.
I suppose the whole town knows it, so?
No one knows it as yet.
And the sergeant didn't see it.
No one saw it or brought it away but myself.
Where did you put it at all?
In the ditch behind the church wall, in amongst the nettles it is. Look, the way I've been stung.
In the ditch? Oh, the best hiding place in the town.
I never thought it would bring such great trouble upon you. You can't say anyway I did not tell you.
You yourself that brought it away and that hid it. I suppose it was coming in the train. You got information about the message to the police.
What now, do you say to me?
I say I'm as glad to hear what you said as if it was the Lord telling me I'd be in heaven this minute.
What are you going to do to me?
Do, is it? Any earthly thing you would wish me to do, I will do it.
I suppose you will tell the police.
Tell! It's that I will tell when all is quiet. I will give you the good name throughout the town.
I don't well understand.
Oh, that man that preserved me.
That preserved you?
That kept me from ruin.
From ruin?
That saved me from disgrace.
What is he saying at all?
From the inspector.
What's he talking about?
From the magistrates.
He's making some mistake.
From the winter assizes.
Is he out of his wits?
5 years in jail.
Hasn't he a queer talk?
The loss of the contract.
Are my own wits going astray?
What way can I repay you?
I tell you, I took the sheep.
You did? God reward you.
I stole away with it.
The blessing of the poor on you.
I put it out of sight.
The blessing of my 5 children.
I may as well say nothing.
Let you be quiet now, Quirk. Here's the sergeant coming to search the shop.
The department of blazes.
What is it putting you out?
To go to the train to meet the lecturer, and there to get a message through the guard that he was unavoidably detained in the south, holding an inquest on the remains of a drake.
The lecturer, is it?
To be sure. What else would I be talking of? The lecturer has failed me, and where am I going to go looking for a person that I would think fitting to take his place?
And that's all. And you didn't get any message but the one?
Is that all? I'm surprised at you, Mrs. Delane. Isn't it enough to upset a man within 3/4 of an hour of the time of the meeting? Where, I would ask you, am I to find a man that has education enough and wit enough and character enough to put up speaking on the platform on the minute?
Is I myself will tell you that.
You?
Oh, look at here, Sergeant. There is not one word was said in all those papers about this young man before you, but it is true. And here could be no good thing said of him that would be too good for him.
It might not be a bad idea.
Well, whatever the paper said about him, Sergeant, I can say more again. It has come to my knowledge, by chance, that since he came to this town, that young man has saved a whole family from destruction.
Well, that is much to his credit, helping the rural classes.
A family, and a long family, big and little, like sods of turf, and they depending on on one that might be on his way to dark trouble at this minute if it were not for his assistance. Oh, believe me, he is the most sensible man, and the wittiest, and the kindest, and the best helper of the poor that ever stood before you in this square. Is that not so, Mrs. Delane?
Oh, it is true indeed. Where he gets his wisdom and his wit and his information from, I don't know, unless it might be that he is gifted from above.
Well, Mrs. Delane, I think we have settled that question. Mr. Halvey, you will be the speaker at the meeting. The lecturer sent these notes. You can lengthen them into a speech. You can go to the people of Clune to stand out and begin the building of their character. I saw a lecturer do it one time at Dundrum. Come up here, said he. Dare to be a Daniel, he said.
I can't. I won't be able to learn all this writing.
You will find it quite easy. I will conduct you to the platform. These papers before you and a glass of water. That's settled. Now, follow me on to the courthouse in half an hour. I must go to the barracks first. I heard there was a telegram. Don't be late, Mrs. Delane. Mind, Quirk, you promised to come.
Oh.
Well, it's time for me to make an end of settling myself. And indeed, Mr. Quirk, you'd best do the same.
Oh, I suppose so. I had best keep on good terms with him for the present. Well, now, I had a great escape today.
I don't know what has come upon the world that half the people in it should be cracked.
Aren't you found out yet?
Found out, is it? I don't know what you mean by being found out.
Didn't he miss the sheep?
Yeah, he did. And I told him it was I took it. And what happened, I declare to goodness, I don't know. Will you look at these?
Papers. Are they more testimonials?
They are what is worse. Will you come to see me on the platform, these in hand, and I speaking and giving out advice? Why didn't you tell me at the time you advised me to steal that sheep that in this town it would qualify a man to go preaching and a priest in a chair looking on?
The time I took a few apples that had fallen off a stall, they did not ask me to hold a meeting. They welted me well.
I would take apples if I could see them. I wish I had broke my neck before I left Carrow and I'd be better off. I wish I had got 6 months that time I was caught setting snares. I wish I had robbed a church.
Would a Protestant church do?
I suppose it wouldn't be so great a sin.
It's likely the sergeant wouldn't think worse of it. Anyway, if you want to rob one, it's the Protestant church is the handiest.
Show me the way and I'll do it.
I was going around it a few minutes ago to see might there be a dog scenting the sheep, and I noticed the window being out.
Out and out.
It was, where they are putting colored glass in it for the distiller.
Yeah. What good does that do me?
Every good. You could go in by that window if you had some person to give you a hoist. Whatever riches there is to get in it, then you'll get them.
Yeah, I don't want riches. I'll give you all I will find if you come and hoist me.
Here's Mrs. Joyce coming to bring you to your lodging. Sure, I brought you your bag to it the time you were away with the sheep.
Run!
Are you here, Mrs. Delane? Where, can you tell me, is Mr. Halvey?
It is likely he's gone on to the courthouse. Did you hear he's to be in the chair and to make an address to the meeting?
Oh, he is getting on fast. His reverend says he'll be a good help in the parish. Who would think now there would be such a godly young man in a little place like Carrow?
I couldn't be No.
What time did this telegram arrive, Mrs. Delane?
I couldn't be rightly sure, Sergeant. But sure, it's marked on it, unless the clock I have is wrong.
It is marked on it, and I have the time I got it marked on my own watch.
Well, now, I wonder none of the police would have followed you with it from the barracks, and they was so little to do.
Well, I am sorry to do what I have to do, but duty is duty.
What is that going on inside? Is there anyone inside, I ask? Oh, it must be that dog of Tannian's. Wait till I get at him.
It's Sergeant Carden, Mr. Quark. He would seem to be looking for something.
Well, I am greatly afraid I am just out of meat, Sergeant, and well, I'm sorry now to disoblige you, and you not being in the habit of dealing with me.
I should think not, indeed.
We're looking for a tender little bit of lamb, I suppose you are, for Mrs. Carden and the youngsters.
I am not.
If I had it now, I'd be proud to offer it to you, and make no charge. I'll be killing a good kid tomorrow. Mrs. Carden might fancy a bit of it.
I have had orders to search your establishment for unwholesome meat, and I am come here to do it.
Is that so? Well, isn't it a wonder the schemers does me in the world?
It is not the first time there have been complaints.
Oh, I suppose not. Well, it's on their own head it'll fall at the last.
I have found nothing so far.
Well, I suppose not indeed. What is there you could find, and it's not in it?
Have you no meat at all upon the premises?
Oh, I have indeed a nice barrel of bacon.
What way did it die?
Well, it would be hard for me to say that. American it is. How would I know what way they do be killing the pigs out there? Machinery, I suppose they have. Steam hammers.
Is there nothing else here at all?
Oh, I give you my word, there is no meat living or dead in this place, but yourself and myself, you and that bird above in the cage.
Well, I must tell the inspector I could find nothing, but mind yourself for the future.
Oh, thank you, Sergeant. I will do that.
Ah, it was you delayed that message to me, I suppose. You'd best mind your ways, or I'll have something to say to you.
That's the way everyone does be faulting me.
Oh, a half a crown. Where now did you get that much, Fardy?
Where did I get it, is it?
I'll engage it was in no honest way you got it.
I picked it up in the street.
Oh, you did? Why didn't you bring it to the sergeant or to his reverence?
And some poor person, maybe, being at the loss of it.
I'd best bring it to his reverence. Come with me, Fardy, till he will question you about it.
It was not altogether in the street I found it.
Ah, there now. I knew you got it in no good way. Now tell me now.
It was playing pitch and toss I won it.
And who would play for half crowns with the likes of you, Fardy Farrow? Who was it now?
It was a stranger.
Oh, do you hear that? A stranger. Do you see a stranger in this town, Mrs. Delane, or Sergeant Carden, or Mr. Quirk?
Not a one.
There was no stranger here.
There could not be one here without me knowing it.
I tell you there was.
Oh, come on then, and tell us who was it to his reverence?
Or to the bench.
I didn't get it, I tell you, from a stranger.
Where is he so?
He's in some place not from far away.
Bring me to him.
He'll be coming here.
Tell me the truth and it will be better for you.
Let me go and I'll get. I will.
Now, who did you get it from?
From the young chap came today, Mr. Halvey.
Mr.
Mr. Halvey.
Halvey?
What are you saying, you young ruffian, you? Hyacinth Halvey to be playing pitch and toss with the like of you?
I didn't say that.
Well, you did say it. You said it now.
Hyacinth Halvey, the best man that ever came into this town.
Well, what lies he has.
It's my belief the half-crown is a bad one. Maybe it's to pass it off it was given to him. There were tinkers in the town at the time of the fair. Here, now give it to me. No, indeed, it's sound enough. Here, Sergeant, it's best for you to take it.
Can it be? Can it be what I think it to be?
What is it? What do you take it to be?
It is, I know it. I know this half-crown.
Oh, that's a queer thing now.
I know it well. I've been handling it in the church for the last 12 months.
Is that so?
It is the nest egg half-crown we hand round for the collection plate every Sunday morning. I know it by the dint on the Queen's temples and the crooked scratch under her nose.
So there is, too.
This is a bad business. It has been stolen from the church.
Oh.
You have robbed the church.
I tell you, I never did.
I have the proof of it.
Say what you like, I never put a foot in it.
How did you get this so?
I suppose from the stranger.
I suppose it was Hyacinth Halvey gave it to you now.
It was so.
I suppose it was he who robbed the church.
You will not believe me if I say it.
Oh, you young vagabond. Let me get at him.
Oh, here he is himself now. It's time you to come, Mr. Halvey, and shut the mouth of this young schemer.
I would like you to hear what he says of you, Mr. Halvey. Pitch and toss, he says.
Robbery, he says.
Robbery of a church.
He has had a bad name long enough. Let him go to the reformatory now.
Save me, save me. I would trying to knock out a way of living. I'll be destroyed if I go to a reformatory.
I'll save you easy enough.
Don't let me be jailed.
I'm going to tell them.
I'm a poor orphan.
Will you let me speak?
I'll get no more chance in the world.
Sure, I'm trying to free you.
It will be a task to me always.
Be quiet, can't you?
Don't you desert me.
Will you be silent?
Take it on yourself.
I will if you let me.
Tell them you did it.
I'm going to do
Tell
that.
them it was you got in at the window.
I will.
It was you robbed the box.
I'll say it. I'll
Being
say
open.
it. Let me tell.
Of all that was in it.
I will tell them.
Give it to me.
Will you stop and let me speak?
It can't be wasting time. Give him here to me.
I can't do that. He must be let alone.
I'll be let alone in the lockup.
He must not be brought there.
I'll let no man get him off.
I will get him off.
You will not.
I will.
Do you think to buy him off?
I will buy him off with my own confession.
And what will that be?
It was I robbed the church.
Oh, that is likely indeed.
Let him go and take me. I tell you I did it.
It would take witnesses to prove that.
Well, he will be my witness.
Oh, Mr. Halvey, I would not wish to do that. Get me off, and I will say nothing.
Sure, you must. You will be put to an oath in court.
I will not. I will not. All the world knows I didn't understand the nature of an oath.
Is it blind you all are?
What are you talking about?
Is it fools you all are?
Oh, speak for yourself.
Is it idiots you all are?
Mind who you're talking to.
Oh, can't you see? Can't you hear? Where are your wits? Was ever such a thing seen in this town?
Say out what you have to say.
A walking saint he is.
Maybe so.
The preserver of the poor. Talk of the holy martyrs. Oh, they are nothing at all to what he is. Will you look at him?
Oh,
To save that poor boy, he is going. To take the blame on himself, he is going. To say he himself did the robbery, he's going. Before the magistrate, he's going. To jail, he's going. Taking the blame on his own head. Putting the sin on his own shoulders. Letting on to have done a robbery. Telling a lie. That it may be forgiven him to his own injury. Doing all that, I tell you, to save the character of a miserable slack lad that rose in poverty. Now, what do you all say?
Mr. Halvey, you have given us all a lesson. To please you, I will make no information against the boy. I will put back the half-crown in the poor box next Sunday. What have you to say to your benefactor?
I'm obliged to you, Mr. Halby. You behave very decent to me, very decent indeed. I'll never let a word be said against you if I live to be 100 years.
I will tell it at the meeting. It will be a great encouragement to them to build up their character. I'll tell it to the priest, and he taking the chair.
Oh, stop, will you?
The chair? It's in the chair he himself should be. It's in a chair we will put him now. It's to cheer him through the streets we will. Sure, he'll be an example and a blessing to the whole of the town. Now, Sergeant, give a hand. Here, Fardy.
No, please, no.
Come along. Now to the courthouse. 3 cheers for Hyacinth Harvey. Hip, hip, hurrah!
Hey!
Hurrah!
They carry him off the chair. Cheers are heard in the distance as the curtain drops. Lovely, everybody. Let's just take 5 this time.
Okay. Right.
Hey, so I guess we're in the break between the second and third reading here, and we're still live streaming. So just want to let people know about Instant Shakespeare Company. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We're back in the libraries, and we've been having some challenges getting enough people for the library readings. We're doing the Two Noble Kinsmen on this coming Saturday, the 29th. And we still need people for that. And then the following November 5th, we're doing Cymbeline at the 53rd Street branch that we need people for. And so if anybody who's watching this or interested in participating, please let me know. Anybody who wants, we're always eager to get new people for Instant Shakespeare. It's instantshakespeare@gmail.com is where you can reach me at. We also have our Facebook page where we post things related to Shakespeare, and also keep track of all of our events through that. And so we're open to that. We also, the first Thursday of every month at 7:30, we have sort of an open seminar where people can, on Zoom, where people can come and address any sort of Zoom questions, Zoom issues they have. how to get more comfortable with switching back and forth between your script and Zoom, and keeping track of your place and other things like that. And also we can discuss in terms of our various sorts of policies for our in-person readings, because I know there's some people, and some of the in-person readings, depending on the playmaster, we've had ones where we do them fully masked because that's really the safest way at this point. But the New York Public Libraries now are saying that masks are optional. And so for some of our readings, as I expect for the Two Noble Kinsmen, it's going to be masks optional, and most people won't wear them during that. So anyways, hopefully they'll be getting, what time is it? It's 2:35 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know how much longer before people come back, but this is our 23rd season of Shakespeare, and we're very happy to also, through our Zoom platform, for we're doing instant Shakespeare readings. We do other readings as well, and we also host the Shaw Project and also Moliere Rendezvous, which, while we're having the live in-person reading of Two Noble Kinsmen next week, we will also have a Zoom reading of two Moliere one-acts. So there's lots of content we're generating, and lots that we're doing, and so we should be on with the Harley Granville Barker one soon. I don't know if they decided to take a longer break. It seems like it's been
Sorry,
more than.
I'm going to have to ask you to give me a couple more minutes. I swallowed a pill too quickly.
Oh dear.
I have rings in my esophagus. I've had them ever since I was a kid.
Huh.
So I need to suck on this lozenge a bit, or I'm just going to cough my head off until
Oh dear.
that's what happens.
Yeah. Okay, well, so we got a few more minutes. This is a lot of fun. I mean, this is great to get some familiarity with these other writers. I mean, because it's people know Shakespeare and then somewhat Shaw, but a lot of people we don't get to hear, like Lady Gregory or Harley Granville Barker ones. So really commend David for putting all of these programs together, and hope the pill goes down well soon. So we do have a lot coming up, and a lot of things. Yeah, and as I'd said before, we are looking for more people for in-person readings, but as I said, there seems to be some difference as to how to do it. Yeah.
Is this part of the problem of getting people back into theaters, Paul?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it is. I mean, I know there's some people. I mean, I see. I have to work, so I can't be there, and I've generally sort of tried to encourage people that. I mean, we've had a few sort of close calls of people having COVID around when having readings, and so I mean, I think that really the best procedure would be to keep masks on at all time. I mean, that's what I'm generally doing when I'm out working.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to do that, and so it's sort of been.
It hits you when you least expect it. My daughter in Mamma Mia in the West End last week, 3 of the ensemble came down with COVID, so everybody panicked for a bit. They might go, if it had spread around, was it going to go around the whole cast? But so far it's contained.
Yeah, I well, I mean, I know it's everybody's sick of it and everything, but I mean, even with the president saying, "Oh, the pandemic's over," it's not over.
No.
Just people just don't seem to want to take what seem to be sensible precautions to try and stay healthy, and that's what I've been encouraging. But there are people who want to do readings and not wear masks, which I can understand as well. But I mean, it's we.
If only to stop the spray, you don't want to drown the other cast members and the audience,
Well,
Dear God.
it's especially on the on the subway.
Oh
Right.
yes, yes, yes.
People
Yeah.
I'm still wearing masks on the subway. And
Me too.
Yeah, yeah,
most other people are not. They weren't even when we were supposed to. And I think I caught my case of COVID from an overcrowded subway car where people weren't wearing masks. I may be wrong, but that's what I think.
Well, I mean, Steph and I caught it because we took the holiday of a lifetime because it was her 70th birthday and our 45th wedding anniversary. And we took one of these Viking river cruises up the Rhine and the Main and the Danube. Well, we got a week into that, wearing masks all the time, and Steph tested positive. And because she's a kind and generous, giving person, she gave it to me. So we got a week. We got about 8 days of this cruise before we ended up being dumped in Basel, of all places,
Oh, my
because
goodness.
Basel, Switzerland, has got absolutely no restrictions. So you could sit around in Basel and go wandering around.
Well,
And then Boris Johnson at that time, in order to placate his backbenchers, had said the pandemic was over, so all restrictions were dropped in Britain, so we could fly straight back to Britain, while all
Wow.
the Americans were sitting in Basel and various cities in Germany, waiting for their fit to fly test to come through negative.
Oh, gee.
I think we better press ahead.
Yeah, right.
This is Rococo by Harley Granville Barker, who was a longtime associate of Shaw's in theatrical endeavors. And there is a lot of description in this one. I'm going to set the scene, which is going to take me a few minutes, but it's worth it, I think. Do you know how ugly the drawing room of an English vicarage can be? Yes, I'm aware of all that there is that should be about it. The old world grace, the charm of Jane Austenism. One should sit upon Chippendale and glimpse the grey Norman church tower through the casement. But what of the pious foundations of a more industrial age? Churches built in mid-19th century and rather stamped in the building. The bishop would have a vicarage added, grumbled the church donor. Well, and consider his comfort a little. But to the glory of the vicar, nothing need be done. And nothing was. The drawing room would be the best room, and not a bad room in its way, if it weren't that its proportions were vile, as though it felt it wanted to be larger than it was, and if the window and the fireplace and the door didn't seem to be quarreling as to which should be the most conspicuous. The fireplace wins. This particular one is in this particular drawing room is of yellow wood, stained and grained. It reaches not quite to the ceiling. The furniture is either very heavy, stuffed, sprung, and tapestry covered, or very light. There are quite a number of small tables, which should have 4 legs, but only have 3. There are several chairs, too, on which it would be unwise to sit down. In the center of the room beneath, is a mahogany monument, a large round table of the pedestal variety, and on it a tower to a climax, the vicarage symbols of gentility and culture. The window of the room, with so many sorts of curtains and blinds to it that one would think the vicar hatched conspiracies here by night, admits of but a blurring light, which the carpet, Brussels, reflects, toned to an ugly yellow. You really would not expect such a thing to be happening in such a place, but this carpet is at the moment the base of an apparently mortal struggle. The vicar is undermost. Kneeling on him, throttling his collar, is a hefty young man, consciously out of temper, with a scarlet face glowing against carroty hair. His name is Reginald, and he is, one regrets to add, the vicar's nephew, though it be only by marriage. The vicar's wife, fragile and 50, is making pathetic attempts to pull him off.
Have you had enough?
No, we've skipped someone. Go back. Mrs. Reginald? Are
Yes.
you here?
Yes.
Cat,
No, we need-
cat, cat.
I'll teach you manners, miss.
Oh, Reginald, do drop him.
Stick a pin in him, Mary.
Ah,
Don't you dare, it's poisonous. If you weren't an old woman, I'd have boxed your ears.
Would you? Would you? Would you?
oh, I haven't got a pin, Caranthina.
Have you had enough?
Most undignified clergyman of the Church of England. Your host, sir. Ashamed of you. Let me up at once.
Oh, it's too short, Caranthina.
Oh,
Box my ears, would you?
well, you boxed father's.
Where is your wretched father-in-law?
Have you had enough?
Oh, please, Reginald. The floor is so hard for him.
Have you had enough?
Do you consider this conduct becoming a gentleman?
And Simon, if the servants have heard, oh, they must have heard. Oh, what will they think?
Say you've had enough and I'll let you up.
It's not at all the sort of thing I ought to say.
Oh, I think you might say it, Simon, just for once.
Say nothing of the sort, Simon.
Well, confound it all then, Corinthia. Why don't you do something? Don't kneel there, you young fool. You'll break my watch.
Well, wait till I get my breath.
Oh, please, Caranthina, don't start again. Such a scandal. I wonder everything's not broken. Shall I say it for him?
You make him say it, Reggie.
They'll be coming up to see what the noise is. Oh, Simon.
I have had enough.
That's all right.
Oh, how dusty you are.
Yes, room's not been swept this morning.
Now, sir, you will please apologize.
I shall not.
Who began it? Black and blue I am. Miss Underwood can apologize. Your precious sister can apologize.
You're running too fat, Gladys. Where's my embroidery?
I put it in the safe, Carinthia. Oh, among relations too. One expects to quarrel sometimes. It can't be helped, but not fighting. Oh, I never did. I feel so ashamed.
Nonsense, Mary.
Nobody touched you, Aunt Mary.
Where's your father, Reginald?
I don't know.
I am here.
Oh, how uncanny.
Well, you can come out, Father. It's quite safe.
I shall not. You can all leave the room.
Leave the room? Whose room is it? Mine or yours? Come out, Mortimer, and don't be a fool.
Oh, Simon.
What is it?
Oh,
Well, where does it go? I wonder everything in the room has not been upset.
no. Simon, it's not a mat. It's his.
Oh, of course.
Reggie, am I tidy at the back?
Now, sir, for heaven's sake, put on your wig and come out.
I must go and brush myself.
Simon, do you think you could tell the maids that something fell over? They're such tattlers. It wouldn't be untrue.
I should scorn to do so. Mary, if they ask me, I must make the best explanation I can.
You're not hurt, Mortimer, are you?
Oh, if we are to continue this family discussion, and if Miss Underwood, whom it does not in the least concern, has not the decency to leave the room, and if you, Mary, cannot request your sister-in-law to leave it, I must at least demand that she does not speak to me again.
A good thing for you I hadn't my thimble on when I did it.
Corinthia, I don't think you should have boxed Mortimer's ears. You know him so slightly.
He called me a futile female. I considered it a suitable reply.
Your wife rallied to me, Reginald. I am much obliged to her, which is more than I can be said of you.
Well, you can't hit a woman.
And she knows it.
There's a hook gone.
I thought so. Lace torn?
It doesn't show much, but I tackled Uncle Simon the minute he touched Gladys. That got my blood up all right. Don't you worry, we won.
Oh, that such a thing should ever have happened in our house. In my drawing room. Oh, real blows.
Oh, don't cry, Aunt Mary. It wasn't your fault.
And I was kicked on the shin.
Say you're sorry, Reggie.
My dear Mary, don't cry.
Simon did it. Reggie was throttling him back. He couldn't help it.
I suggest we show a more or less Christian spirit in letting bygones be bygones and endeavor to resume the discussion at the point where it ceased to be an amicable one. Yes, there is a slight rent. Never mind.
My sister-in-law had no right to bequeath the vase. It was not hers to bequeath.
Oh, Mortimer, I think if you'd been able to come to the funeral and this had all happened then, it might have done.
But it didn't, Mary. Control yourself.
My brother George wrote to me on his deathbed. On his deathbed, sir. I have the letter here.
Yes, we've heard it.
And you sent them a copy?
Quiet, Reginald. Hear it again and pay attention. The Rococo vase presented to me by the Emperor of Germany. Oh, now there he's wrong. They're German emperors, not emperors of Germany. But George was an inaccurate fellow. Reggie has the same trick. It's in the family. I haven't it.
I have not suggested on Mary's behalf. I wish you would remember, Mortimer, that the position I take up in this matter, I take up purely on my wife's behalf. What have I to gain?
Well, you're her husband, aren't you? She'll leave things to you, and she's older than you are.
Reginald, you are most indelicate. I have forborne to demand an apology from you.
Because you wouldn't get it.
Oh, I don't want the vase. I don't want anything.
Don't think of the vase, Mary. Think of the principle involved.
And you may die first, Simon. You're not so strong, though you look it. All the coat you get, and nothing's ever the matter with me.
Mary, how much longer am I to wait to read this letter?
Quite so. Your brother is waiting patiently and politely. Come, a Christian and a businesslike spirit.
Why not a skull cap? A sanitary skull cap.
What's that?
Nothing, Mortimer.
Some people look for trouble.
And those that it fits can wear it.
Let's have the letter, Mortimer.
Or at least a little gum, a little glue, a little stick fast for decency's sake.
I trust that my dignity requires no vindication. Never mind, I see nothing. The Rococo vase was presented to me by the Emperor of Germany, or German Emperor.
Agreed. Don't cry, Mary. Well, here's a clean handkerchief.
On the occasion of my accompanying the mission.
Mission?
Not a real mission, Corinthia.
A perfectly real mission. A mission from the Chamber of Commerce at... Don't go on as if the world were made up of low church parsons and their sisters.
Do get ahead, Father.
Mission, etc. Here we are. My dear wife must now have the enjoyment. Why he called her his dear wife, I don't know. They hated each other like poison. Oh, but that was George all over. Soft, never would face the truth. It's a family trait. You show signs of it, Mary.
He was on his deathbed.
Get on, Father.
My wife, she wasn't his dear wife. What's the good of pretending it? Must have the enjoyment of it while she lives. At her death, I desire it to be an heirloom for the family. And there you are.
You sit looking at Mary, his sister and yours. Is she a member of the family or not?
Boys before girls, men before women. Don't argue that, it's the law. Titles and heirlooms, all the same thing.
Mortimer, it isn't as if we weren't giving you all the family things, the miniature and the bust of John Bright and grandmother's china and the big Shakespeare.
Giving them, Mary? Giving them?
Surrendering them willingly, Mortimer. They've ornamented our house for years.
But
It isn't as if you hadn't done pretty well out of Aunt Jane while she was alive.
Oh, delicacy, Gladys, and some regard for the truth.
No, if we're talking business, let's talk business. Her £50 a year more than paid you for keeping her, didn't it? Did it or didn't it?
She never ate anything that I could see.
She had a delicate appetite. It needed teasing. I mean coaxing. Oh dear, this is most unpleasant.
£50 a year is nearly £1 a week, you know.
What about her clothes? What about her little holidays? What about the doctor? What about her temper to the last? Oh, de mortuis nil nisi bonum.
She was a great trouble with her meals, Reginald.
she was a horrible woman. I disliked her more than any woman I've ever met. She brought George to bankruptcy. When he was trying to arrange with his creditors and she came into the room, her face would sour them. I tell you, sour them.
Well, Uncle Simon's a clergyman and can put up with the unpleasant people. It suited them well enough to have her. You had the room, Aunt Mary, you can't deny that. And anyway, she's dead now, poor Aunt Jane. And what with the things she's left you, what's to be done with her clothes?
Well, you remember the mauve silk?
Mary, pray allow me. The poor.
Not the mauve silk, nor her black lace shawl.
They will make soup.
What?
The proceeds of their sale will make much needed soup and blankets. No brain under it. No wonder it's loose. No brain.
Where is the beastly vase? I don't know that I want to inherit it.
Yes, may I ask for the second or third time today?
The third?
May I ask for the second or third time today?
It is the third time, Father.
Reginald, have you no tact? May I ask why the vase is not to be seen?
It's put away.
Why?
Gladys, ignore that. Please, Mary.
Yes, Mortimer.
It has been chipped.
It has not been chipped.
If it had been chipped,
I say it has not been chipped.
if it had been chipped, sir, I would have held you responsible. Produce it.
Oh no, you must not be ordered to produce it.
Produce it, Simon!
Neither must we be shouted at.
Oh,
Bald at. Bald at?
Simon, if you do not instantly produce the vase, I shall refuse to treat this any longer in a friendly way. I shall place the matter in the hands of my solicitors.
Oh, Simon.
As a matter of principle, Mary.
What rot.
It was put away, I think, so that the sight of it might not rouse discussion. Wasn't it, Simon?
Well, we've had the discussion. Now get it out.
It is my principle not to submit to dictation. If I were asked politely to produce it,
Ask him politely, Father.
I don't think I can. To ask politely might be an admission of some right of his to detain the property. This matter will go further. I shall commit myself in nothing without legal advice.
You get it out, Aunt Mary.
Oh, no, I can't. I don't know where it is.
You don't! This is important. He has no right to keep it from you. Oh, I venture to think
husband and wife are one, Mortimer.
not in law. Don't you cram your religion down my throat. Not in law any longer. We've improved all that. The Married Women's Property Act, I venture to think.
I think perhaps Carinthia has gone for it, Mortimer.
Then I object. I object most strongly to this woman knowing the whereabouts of a vase, which you, Mary...
Mortimer, do not refer to my sister as this woman.
Then treat my sister with the respect that is due to her, Simon.
I hope I do, Mortimer.
And will you request Miss Underwood not to return to this room with or without the vase?
Why should I?
But what has she to do with this family matter of mine? I make no comment, Mary, upon the way you allow yourself to be ousted from authority in your own house. It's not my place to comment upon it, and I make none. I make no reference to the insults, the unwomanly insults that have been hurled at me by this futile female.
Apt alliteration's artful aid. What?
Don't interrupt.
You're getting excited again, Father.
I am not.
Father!
Well, where's the glass? Where's the glass?
We talked it over this morning, Mortimer, and we agreed that I am of a yielding disposition. And I said I should feel I should feel much safer if I did not even know where it was while you were in the house.
And I, your loving brother.
A little more than kin and less than kind.
How dare you, Simon? A little more than 10 minutes ago, and I was struck here in your house. How dare you quote poetry to me?
I regret that Carinthia has a masterful nature. She is apt to take the law into her own hands. And I fear there is something about you, Mortimer, that invites violence. I can usually tell when she is going to be unruly. There's a peculiar twitching of her hands. If you had not been aggravating us all with your so-called arguments, I should have noticed it in time and taken steps.
We're really very sorry, Mortimer. We can always take steps. Oh, but dear me, I was never so surprised in my life. You all seem to go mad at once. It makes me hot now. Think of it.
I shall have a headache tomorrow. My sermon day.
Oh, no, you won't. More frightened than hurt. These things will happen. The normal gross-feeding man sees red, sees red. Reggie is a small boy, quite uncontrollable.
Well, I like that. You howled out for help.
I am willing to obliterate the memory.
I'm sure I'm black and blue and more torn than I can see.
But what can you do when a woman forgets herself? I simply stepped aside. I happen to value my dignity.
There it is.
Thank you, Miss Underwood. Pure Rococo.
The Vicoco vase.
That's not funny, Reginald.
Well, I think it is.
Mary, you have often heard George tell us the Emperor welcoming, fine old fellow, speech in German, none of them understood it. And then at the end, gentlemen, I raise my glass. Hook, hook, hook.
A little more spit in it.
Reginald, you're very vulgar.
Is that Potsdam?
Yes, home of Friedrich der Grosse. A great nation. We can learn a lot from them.
Yes, I suppose it's a jolly handsome piece of goods. Cost a lot.
Royal factory, built to imitate Sèvres.
Well, Mortimer, here is the vase. Now, where are we?
Oh, are we going to begin all over again? Why don't you sell it and share up?
Gladys, I don't think that would be quite nice.
I can't see why not.
Sell an heirloom? It cannot be done.
Oh, yes, it can. You and I together cut off the entail. That's what it's called. It'd fetch £20 at Christie's.
More. First class rococo. Shouldn't dream of it.
I think Mary would have a share in the proceeds, wouldn't she?
I think not.
Why not, Mortimer?
Well, it's a point of law. I'm not quite sure, but well, let's consider it in equity. If I died and Reginald died childless and Mary survived us and it came to her, then there would be our cousins, the Bamfords, as next inheritors. Could she, by arrangement with them, sell and you know?
I wouldn't like to sell it. It would seem like a slight on George because, well, he would bankrupt. Perhaps that's why. And Jane always had it in her bedroom.
Most unsuitable for a bedroom.
Didn't you suggest, Simon, that I might undertake not to leave it out of the family?
In private conversation with you, Mary.
Oh,
I don't accept the suggestion. I don't accept it at all.
Let me point out to you, Mortimer, that there is nothing to prevent Mary's selling the vase for her own exclusive benefit.
Simon.
Yes. Once again, I merely insist upon a point of principle.
Well, and I insist, let everybody understand it. I insist that all thought of selling an heirloom is given up. Reginald, Gladys, you're letting me be exceedingly upset.
Well, shall I walk off with it?
You'll
They
drop it
couldn't
if you're
stop
not
me.
careful.
oh, Reggie, you couldn't carry that to the station. Everyone would stare at you.
I hope you would not be guilty of such an unprincipled act.
No, I
We
won't.
won't have it at home, Reg. I won't have it at home, Reg. So I tell you, one of the servants will be sure to. Why not sell the thing?
Gladys, be silent.
Oh, it is a weight.
Then we are just where we started half an hour ago. Are we, Simon?
Precisely, Mortimer.
I'm sorry. I am very sorry. Now, let us all try to keep our tempers.
I hope I shall not have no occasion to lose mine.
Nor I mine.
Oh, Mortimer, you're going to get excited.
I think not, Mary. I trust not.
Father, come away and write a letter about it.
If I write a letter, if my solicitors have to write a letter, there are people here who will regret this day.
Oh, Simon, I'd much sooner he took it. I'd much rather he took everything Jane left me.
Jane did not leave it to you, Mary.
Oh, Mortimer, she did try to leave it to me.
She may have tried, but she did not succeed because she could not, because she had no right to do so. I am not in the least excited.
Have you been to your lawyer?
What's that?
Have you asked your lawyer?
Gladys, I will not answer her. I refuse to answer the female.
All right, Father.
He hasn't because he knows what his lawyer would say. Rots what his lawyer would say.
Heaven knows. I wish to discuss this calmly.
Aunt Mary, might I smoke?
Not in the drawing room.
No, not in the drawing room, please, Reginald.
You're not to go away, Reginald.
Oh, well, hurry up!
Do I understand that on your wife's behalf you entirely to refuse to own the validity of my brother George's letter? Where is it? I read you the passage written on his deathbed.
Why did he not mention the vase in his will?
There were a great many things he did not mention in his will.
Was his widow aware of the letter?
You know she was,
Why did she not carry out what you think to have been her husband's intention?
because she was a beast of a woman.
Oh, Mortimer, what language about the newly dead?
An heirloom in the family?
Quite so.
On what grounds do you maintain that George's intentions are not carried out when it is left to my wife?
The man hasn't a wig to stand on. Oh, I mean a leg.
Don't speak to me. I request you not to speak to me.
Look here, Father. Aunt Mary will undertake not to let it go out of the family. Leave it at that.
We don't want the thing, Father. The drawing room's full already.
It is not the vase. It's no longer the vase. It is the principle.
Oh, don't, Mortimer, don't be like Simon. That's why I mustn't give in. It'll make it much more difficult if you start thinking of it like that.
It's a principle in our family not to be bullied.
If she'd go and mind her own family's business.
I am sorry to repeat myself, Mortimer, but the vase was left to Jane absolutely. It has been specifically left to Mary. She is under no obligation to keep it in the family.
You'll get it, will you? You and your precious female sister?
Oh, this is so unpleasant.
Never, never! Not if I beggar myself in the lawsuits.
Who wants the hideous thing?
Idiot! You hear? They'd sell it for what it would fetch. My brother George's rococo vase, an objet d'art et vertu, an heirloom, a family record, a public service. Have you no feelings, Mary?
Oh, I'm very unhappy.
Don't make your sister cry, sir.
Make your sister hold her tongue, sir. She has no right in this discussion at all. Am I to be provoked and badgered by a futile female?
How dare you suppose, Mortimer, that Mary and I would not respect the wishes of the dead?
It's nothing to do with you either.
I say, Uncle Simon.
What is it?
Look here, Uncle Simon, let Aunt Mary write a letter undertaking. There's no need for all this row.
I will. I'll undertake anything.
Mary, keep calm, keep calm. I'm being much provoked too. Keep calm.
He won't let her. He and his sister. He won't give way in anything. Why should I be reasonable?
If she will undertake it, will you?
Oh, Aunt Mary, stop her.
I'm hurt.
Oh, look here now, not again.
Carinthia, I should have taken steps. It is almost excusable.
Oh, I am seriously hurt.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Did you feel the thimble?
Oh, Corinthia, this is dreadful.
I wish to preserve my dignity.
Your wig's crooked.
No,
Oh, don't you insult my father.
Shall I put it straight? It'll be off again.
go away.
Why don't you keep her in hand?
Simon, you're a cad and your sister's a mad cad. Take her away.
Get out of my house.
Don't you order me about.
Get out before I put you out.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, Simon, be careful.
Oh, mind my head, do.
Away from my father, Corinthia. Don't you talk to me, miss.
Stop it, do.
Oh, mind the table. There it goes.
Smashed.
Oh, thank goodness.
And curtain. Oh, what a... This piece, unfortunately, really needs staging, but still.
yes.
I love this play.
It's lovely.
This
It's
is
a
delicious.
joy.
Piece.
It is just delicious.
We did do a staged reading of it with a Shaw project one time.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right.
That
Well,
would be a
thank
fun
you.
one to actually do.
Yeah.
thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
I have to
Thank
I have to hustle off because I want to
Good
try to
job.
get out and get to the laundry and pick up my laundry before it starts raining. It
Oh,
hasn't
dear.
already.
Oh,
yes.
But we made it through.
It was good.
yes, we did.
Thank
Yes, we
goodness.
did.
Nice contrasts in style of each of them.
Yeah.
It's good.